Happening now, a fresh flood emergency in the far north. Homes inundated, roads cut, people trapped. The threat much worse than Cyclone Jasper.
This is a life-threatening event.
The scramble to safety as floodwaters reach roofs in suburban Cairns. Comprehensive coverage. The southeast swelters for a third day. Heatwave conditions explode. The government's new super ministry to tackle Queensland's housing crisis. A surge in people misusing the new generation of weight loss drugs. And Aussie horse racing great Damien Oliver rides a winner into retirement.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Kendall Gilding.
Good evening. A major flood emergency is unfolding in the state's far north as the remnants of Cyclone Jasper dumps relentless heavy rain. Homes are inundated and major roads are cut. Residents tonight scrambling to reach higher ground as water reaches roofs.
Worse than Jasper's full-force arrival, the ex-cyclone's tail still whipping the far north with a major flood disaster. Rescuers race towards Holloway's beach with floodwaters reaching roofs and panicked residents desperate to reach safety.
There was also a pregnant woman. She was 9 months pregnant with a 2-year-old toddler floating on the mattress in the upstairs of their house with waters rising.
It was a race to escape Machan's Beach.
Oh, mate. I can just roll Royce through the floodwaters here. I love living in Machan's, eh?
The suburb surrounded.
House is flooded.
And boats the only way in or out. All that water put lives in danger at an animal refuge.
Good girl.
Homeless animals, homeless again.
Hooray, we emptied out the shelter.
At Ellis Beach, storm surge was the concern during Jasper. Now, a bigger threat's coming from the opposite direction. Torrents of water racing down the mountains, through buildings and out to sea. No church today at Marillion on the Cassowary coast. No leaving the house either, or even the couch. Floodwaters over the floors at Silkwood, trapping families in homes in Innisfail. Just as the cyclone cleanup was starting, an overnight drenching made clear the system was far from finished. This is what half a metre of rain on already saturated ground looks like. An orange enemy threatens Paranella Park's old castles, drowned beneath water and mist. Nearby, 12 people, 2 dogs, 1 cat and 2 chickens were plucked to safety after Bakers Creek crept too close.
They were unsure where to leave, but over time we encouraged them to just jump in and get out because I've lived here 14 years and never seen it before in my life.
Good Samaritans taking to the streets by boat, searching for residents stranded in Meena Creek.
From 2 o'clock in the morning, they said they woke up and they could see the river rising.
Safer to leave than stay and face more rain, deciding not to take a risk, unlike so many others. At a known trouble spot, a ute is pulled out of floodwaters at a bridge impossible to cross.
We've had multiple evacuations and rescues overnight. This is life-threatening events.
Emergency alerts for dangerous flooding were widespread. Nearly 600 millimetres of rain fell at Black Mountain between Port Douglas and Cairns, half a metre in 24 hours at Coranda on the Tablelands, and at least 300 mils in the major centres. Cairns Airport not immune, flights were cancelled. The airport closed this afternoon as floodwaters threatened the tarmac.
The situation is changing quite quickly and it's evolving quite quickly as well.
North of the city, this is the view from the only road into Yorkeys Knob. Just one suburb, now an island.
Welcome to far north Queensland, flooding life.
South of Cairns, residents can't get home, stranded with trucks queued at Gordonvale.
So we turn off into our street.
Access will be an issue. In Mareeba, flooding carved out an enormous chunk of bitumen.
People that were on the other side of the road are now stuck and have lost their water supply.
And the deluge is far from done.
The totals that we could see 6 hourly up to 300 millimetres, and in a 24-hour period we could see rainfall of up to 500 millimetres.
Warning of a repeat of today.
Never seen this much water.
In a region already awash. Cairns was meant to have its Christmas carols tonight. Instead, the city's nervously listening to the rain. Michelle Jensen, 7 News.
Well, let's go straight to Christina Pooljak in Cairns. Christina, the emergency could become more serious tonight.
Kendall, there's flooding up to the roofs of some houses. People are calling for help, but we're told emergency services can't get in. With the highway cut in so many places, police officers are using their personal cars to respond to jobs to help the public. Tonight, 12,000 people are without power. There are 5 evacuation centres open. Authorities are asking people not to go out and about as this situation is life-threatening. Kendall.
Christina Pooljak live in Cairns. Let's go to Garth Burley now at Brisbane Airport. Garth, the flood emergency has left passengers stranded.
Kendall, around a dozen flights to and from Brisbane were among 60 cancelled today as the Cairns airport went underwater. It peaked this afternoon, flooding the runway and submerging a number of planes. Nearby roads were also flooded along with businesses. A number of parked cars were drowned. Now, that airport has been closed since 2 o'clock. Staff will soon meet to both assess the damage and discuss what happens next, potentially when the airport may open, but it is unlikely that will be before tomorrow.
Garth Burley reporting live from Brisbane Airport. Thank you. The flood disaster is one of the worst Cairns has seen in decades, and Cairns Mayor Terry James joins us live. Mayor, just how bad is the situation there tonight?
Well, we've got a lot of water coming down the Barron River at the moment, Kendall. Our Copperload Dam is 2.5 metres above the spillway, and there's a lot of water coming down from Tinaroo Dam as well. So this is unprecedented. There's an intense amount of rain that's flooding the northern beaches, and I can't see it getting any better anytime soon.
Many people are saying they were caught off guard by the volume of rain that they saw overnight. Was there sufficient warning of the flooding that was on the way?
No one could predict the amount of water and rain that was coming. We were looking at a 1 in 50 event. What we're seeing now is above a 1 in 100 year event, a Q100. So it's all down to ex-cyclone Jasper that's just hovering over the Cape at the moment. It's not moving, and that was unpredictable. So we gave as much warning as we could get ourselves, but it's just bucketing down.
Well, the far north is used to a lot of rain, but this is extraordinary. Terry James, our thoughts are with all of the community in the far north. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Kendall.
Well, meanwhile, parts of the southeast have been hit by more storms after sweltering through another day of heatwave conditions. The Bureau of Meteorology expects it to continue tomorrow.
As the mercury soared, crowds flocked to the beach. A heatwave, the perfect time to practice a new skill on the water.
It's her second time doing surfing. As soon as she knows that at the Gold Coast we can do surfing, so I want to do it.
Or simply relax on the sand.
Cooling off in the water, making sandcastles, eating ice cream.
Those with fur needed to cool off too. Indoor pets stayed hydrated. In Ipswich, relief. Orion Lagoon reopening after storm debris littered the water yesterday. Today, it was filled with families attempting to escape the sun's scorching rays.
But the kids, I have 3, and they all wanted to go and do something, and we thought, what better than to come out here?
Absolutely beautiful. Come down, enjoy.
Today was the peak of the heat wave so far. In Logan, temperatures soared above 36 degrees. Ipswich wasn't far behind. Brisbane was a sticky 34. Some reprieve offered by the water, 30.2 degrees, was recorded at the Gold Coast Seaway.
It's not just the warm temperatures, but it's also how much moisture is in the air, which really reduces the comfort and increases the likelihood of seeing a heat wave.
Looking ahead to Christmas, the Bureau of Meteorology says early modelling suggests temperatures will drop from these extreme highs, but there is potential for rain, keeping humidity high.
and people in search of shade. Georgia Costi, 7 News.
To Paul Burt now, and Bertie, will we see more storms across the southeast tonight?
I would say no at this stage here, Kendall. What we do have, it looks very ominous to the west of the city at the moment. We're coming here from Kangaroo Point, but a lot of that's just low cloud, but there are storms brewing. We've had hail falling, we've had strong winds, sideways rain, and all of that happened before 5 p.m. west, northwest of the Sunshine Coast and down around Warwick. We had 109 km/h winds around Kingaroy this afternoon, but the southeast close to the coast, no. Are we going to see no storm warnings for this area? However, to the west and the border ranges, again, west-northwest around the Capricornia and Wide Bay Burnett regions. You can see that really starting to build on that system. Cairns, again, more rain falling up there, 400 millimetres over that around Innisfail, 370 odd around Cairns. So a lot of rain to the north, but for us, these storms should abate, although we'll see the rain returning again on Thursday. I'll have more weather for you soon.
The sky's very active over Queensland at the moment.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bertie. Communities on Brisbane's south side continued the clean-up today after Friday's supercell storm, and there's still plenty of work to be done. Some are angry the Brisbane City Council isn't doing more to help.
The clean-up in the southeast is nowhere near finished. Residents today were still picking up the pieces from Friday's supercell storm. Streets in Moorooka lined with fallen trees.
We just had this big pile of crap here in our backyard, so it's just been a big clean-up. There hasn't been too much damage to our house. We got off really lucky.
Some weren't so lucky. Tree branches launched like missiles, collapsing this patio roof. Another puncturing the ceiling of this home.
So we had a tree from the backyard come through the roof, which ended up letting loads of water in.
Winds so strong this brick fence was unable to withstand the force.
Holy oh my God, it just knocked down our brick fence.
The brick wall was like not something that I thought would be a problem. I was worried about the pool fence and the awnings have come off the side of the house.
Businesses are also counting the cost. The service station at Rocklea has been without power for 2 days, forced to throw out stock.
There was a bit of damage out there on the forecourt where the tops of the pumps been blown off, part of the roof blown off too.
Hundreds of residents here in Moorooka endured a night without power. Energex crews spent the day grappling with fallen power lines and piles of debris.
It's still going to be a big task here in Moorooka, but we're aiming to get the majority back up today.
But while the clean-up is almost over, locals are frustrated at council only offering free tip runs for those hit by the wild weather.
Curbside collection would have been really easy, and we feel that's sort of what council's there for, to go that extra step beyond when a bigger natural disaster like this comes through.
We are continuing to monitor the situation, but right now we've opened Willawong and we are asking residents to take that green waste to Willawong.
Meantime, a little girl struck by lightning in Biawar remains in a critical condition at the Queensland Children's Hospital, and the community is rallying around the family of Manny Kapathi, killed by fallen live power lines on Friday as he tried to clear a road. A GoFundMe page to return his remains to his family in India has so far raised $60,000. Lawrence Jeffcoat, 7 News.
Housing Minister Megan Scanlon has emerged as one of the big winners of new Premier Stephen Miles' cabinet reshuffle. She's been handed a super ministry aimed at tackling the housing crisis. The rest of the changes will be revealed tomorrow.
Handing out the first gift, his planning and local government portfolios to the Housing Minister.
A new, bigger housing portfolio.
With the same big goal to end the housing crisis.
Megan will now have those planning powers and be able to work with local government to deliver even more.
It is quite unusual to have someone who's a renter in the cabinet, and I want to make sure that we support renters.
Announcing $3 million for charity Orange Sky, providing showers and free washing for the homeless. As the opposition claims there's dirty laundry to deal with over youth crime.
These young thugs have become a generation of untouchables. Having detention as a last resort means that you will never be able to get on top of this.
New figures show Queensland has more repeat youth offenders, with 20% responsible for more than half of the charges before the courts, an increase on the numbers last year. Also on the rise, youths committing robberies, assaults and car thefts, with more than 6,000 this year.
The Youth Justice Act needs to be reformed, and with that will come the knowledge for the Queensland Police Service that they have a government that has their back. Rather than leaving in droves, they'll be arriving in droves.
Fresh faces will be arriving in droves tomorrow to be sworn in. 5 MPs promoted to replace 4 outgoing ministers.
There'll be changes across the ministry. We're doing our best to minimise those because we don't want our public service to miss a beat.
Who gets what to be revealed by Queensland Parliament's new top dog. Michelle Jensen, 7 News.
The search for a missing autistic boy at Kingston has ended in tragedy. 7-year-old Zepvonte Uni Tafili was last seen late yesterday afternoon. SES, police and community members scoured the area. This morning, divers located his body in a waterway at Slacks Creek. Police are providing support to the family. The 3 Israeli hostages shot dead by forces sent to rescue them were waving a white flag. Israel says it was a tragic and grave mistake as it doubles down on its attacks on Gaza.
Israel's Bedouin Arab community gathers for the funeral of Samer Talalka, held hostage by Hamas for weeks, shot dead by Israeli forces sent in to save him. Israel now says one of the 3 shirtless, unarmed men was waving a white cloth, shouting in Hebrew before Israeli troops opened fire against the rules of engagement. Nearby, a building had been marked SOS, help 3 hostages.
It's a very, very complex battle space. The IDF is doing everything we can. There's been multiple successes, and there will also be mistakes.
The IDF saying the soldiers who shot dead their countrymen won't be punished. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
American and British warships have shot down as many as 15 attack drones over the Red Sea as the conflict in Gaza threatens to spread. The US said one of its guided missile destroyers responded to a wave of drones yesterday coming from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. The UK's Ministry of Defence tweeted it had intercepted a threat to merchant vessels using a Sea Viper missile. The warships weren't damaged and there were no injuries. As far as sporting farewells go, this is one of the greatest of all. Champion jockey Damien Oliver produced a miracle, winning his final race to cap off a truly remarkable career.
They've already made a movie about Damien Oliver, this script too perfect even for Hollywood.
And now Munamek has got there. Oliver's got the run. The racing gods have spoken. Do you believe in miracles?
Dreams do come true, don't they, eh? That was unbelievable.
Over 3 decades in the saddle, one final piece of Ollie magic, weaving his way through the field to win the race named in his honour.
It was death or glory at the top of the straight. An unbelievable feeling, and I couldn't think of a better way to finish it off.
Wife Trish and his family by his side in the town where he grew up. The Ascot crowd in disbelief as Oliver won not only the last race of his career, but the last 3, winning back to back to back on his way into retirement.
Ollie's done it again!
And the roar I got for those last 3 winners, I'll never forget it.
How long is it going to take the body to realise that you're not in the game anymore? The structure's gone from life.
Probably tomorrow when I'm nursing a hangover.
The greatest jockey of all time, with perhaps the greatest farewell. Abby Gelmi, 7 News.
A wild ride in a limousine, the crazy freeway stunt caught on camera. That's next. Details on a major crackdown on NDIS price gouging. The new warning about the popular weight loss drug taking the world by storm. And how weather warnings have advanced across the years. That's in Flashback.
All in vain. The intravenous health and beauty treatments now sweeping Australia. In and out in just 60 minutes.
Promote good general health and cognitive functioning.
As the menu of treatments grows, just how effective are they?
Adverse effects from getting IV drips unnecessarily.
The benefits and the concerns on 7 News, Monday.
A driver has filmed a dangerous stunt along a Melbourne freeway with 2 limousine passengers emerging from the sunroof. The pair moved about the opening for more than 20 seconds, moving their hands and gesturing at passing motorists. It happened yesterday and hasn't been reported to police. The federal government is cracking down on NDIS service providers who are inflating prices to take advantage of taxpayer funding. A new task force is being set up with the aim of eliminating price gouging.
Nicole Lee is one of more than 600,000 NDIS participants fed up with being viewed as a human ATM.
I'm sick of being seen as a rolling dollar sign. I'm sick of being seen as somebody's cash cow, and all disabled people are.
It's unethical, it's immoral, but it's not illegal to rip people off with disabilities.
The federal government says dodgy National Disability Insurance Scheme providers are inflating prices for participants. But from next week, the ACCC will have further power to crack down on price gouging.
It is shockingly widespread that if you tell a service provider that you have an NDIS package, all of a sudden the price for everything goes up.
If we've got the right amount of money in our plans and people are actually giving us value for money and not overcharging us, then we shouldn't have to be going and saying, hang on, I ran out of funds, but that's because all of these services, took a little bit of, off the top.
A new task force is being set up to stop the exploitation. And next year, the government will introduce legislative changes to make non-compliance a criminal offence.
We'll have to get bipartisan support, which I'm confident we will receive.
To watch other people overcharge us and consistently do that without a care, without any conscience, this really hurts. So to see these laws come in, this is a really, really big win for the disability community.
Sarah Jane Bell, 7 News.
New polling suggests the Albanese government is losing its traditional blue-collar support base to the coalition. Since August, support for Labor has fallen 9% among voters with TAFE and vocational training educations. 52% of that group now backing the opposition.
Overwhelmingly, the most significant drop out of all the demographic cohorts that we closely watch.
But pollsters say the coalition shouldn't get too comfortable, as this group isn't the most loyal. Jimmy Barnes is out of bed and on his feet just days after having open heart surgery. His wife Jane posted a photo of the rocker in hospital, saying he's on the mend and has been walking up and down the hallway. She also thanked well-wishers for their positivity. The 67-year-old went under the knife after a bacterial infection spread to his heart. Doctors are sounding the alarm about the risk of overdosing on one of the world's most popular weight loss drugs. What you need to know next. A delivery rider lucky to escape unharmed from this. Tent City, why people sleeping rough are being pushed out. And a mystery woman's incredible act of kindness at an Aussie toy store.
Getting vital weather warnings can save lives. How technology has given us time to prepare for disaster. Flashback 7 News coming up soon.
Dashcam has captured a pizza delivery man being thrown from his bike in a crash in Sydney. A driver and passenger in the car behind had only just been talking about how difficult his job must be.
I'd never want to do it on a scooter. How dangerous. Just if someone knocks you off the bike.
Seconds later, the rider veers into oncoming traffic and someone does. Incredibly, he wasn't hurt. People sleeping rough in the southeast tent cities are being pressured to move on before Christmas. Some are being intimidated and harassed by locals hurling abuse.
Homeless and happy. Liang Lau calls a tent next to the Brisbane River home, but council says it's time to go.
They want to move us along before Christmas.
Council trucks have been seen collecting abandoned tents.
The council is offering us units at Park Road, but we prefer to live in our tents.
It's a similar story at Redcliffe, where 27-year-old Tamika Jamison says her tent community at Woody Point is her only family.
It's just like we're the black sheep of society that can't help it because we were pushed here.
And they don't want to be pushed out. Abuse from locals is also growing.
They yell and scream at us, saying, get a job, get a house, clean up this dump.
Every now and then you get like a couple of kids that'll drive past and egg the tents.
Daphne lives across the road, She has mixed feelings.
When you see people that do not have any better place to live, you must feel sorry for them.
Brisbane City Council told 7 News they do not remove tents around the city from people who haven't been offered alternative housing, and is demanding the state government open Pinkenbar for crisis accommodation, and says they have $1 million on the table to help. The state government is offering an additional $23 million to assist with emergency housing ahead of the Christmas period. But for those living rough, they say the accommodation on offer is actually worse than living in tents.
Show me the flat that the government's offering. Are they going to come and live next door to that flat?
Steve Hart, 7 News.
An apartment block under construction in the US has gone up in flames. The complex in Denver, Colorado wasn't far from being completed when the fire broke out. The plume of smoke could be seen for kilometres. There's no word on a cause, and officials describe the damage as extensive. The new generation of weight loss drugs like Ozempic have taken over the world, but there are concerns some people are overdoing it. There's been an increase in overdoses, while Australia's medical watchdog is worried about unregulated alternatives.
They're the popular drugs known for rapid weight loss, but as demand for medications like Ozempic and Wegovy skyrocket, a surge in overdoses is making headlines in the US.
As a drug becomes more and more used in the community, inevitably people will accidentally take it incorrectly.
Semaglutide is the active ingredient in the drugs. America's poison control centres saw almost 3,000 semaglutide-related calls this year, a spike of 1,500% on 2019. High demand has led to worldwide shortages of major brands, with more people turning to imitation or compounded drugs, which don't come in preset doses.
They're dispensed in vials with needles and syringes, and it's up to the patients to draw out the correct amount of medication.
Australia's Therapeutic Goods Administration found an emerging trend for telehealth providers to offer compounded semaglutide-like products, warning the products are unapproved and have not been evaluated for safety, quality or efficacy. Sydney socialite Roxy Jasenko recently spoke about her own overdose, trying to shed weight gained during cancer treatment.
I have never, ever genuinely felt so unwell. I thought, this is it, I'm going to die.
Warning it's a heavy price to pay. In the United States, Jacqueline Robson, 7 News.
Dozens of holidaymakers have turned up to airports to find their flights hadn't been paid for. The details in a special 7 News investigation next. Your last chance to put a parcel in the post for Christmas. And our first look behind the scenes of the King's coronation. The collapse of an Australian travel agency has left dozens of customers fearing they've been scammed. Families have arrived at airports to be told by airlines their tickets haven't been paid for.
Niranjana Chaudhry's holiday travel plans are in disarray. The hard-working nurse fears she's been scammed by a travel agent, ruining her plans for a long-awaited family reunion in Nepal.
I work double shift, night shift, just to go spend some quality time with my family. So it's playing with our emotion.
Scion Travels had been operating out of this Victorian house, the property now on the sites of the Sheriff's Office. It's alleged more than 50 customers nationwide have been ripped off almost $250,000 with bogus flight bookings. Families have been arriving at airports to find that their flights haven't been paid for.
We input your passport information into the system. We do not find your ticket information.
The boss of the company, Nani Ram Ariel, has acknowledged he couldn't provide the services, but has made multiple offers to repay them. He's posted on social media that Scion Travels is being liquidated. Despite the company's status, we will reimburse all customer payments in due course. But no one except myself is responsible for this nightmarish situation to happen. But some customers have no faith in the promise to pay them back.
We can't rely on him, because he doesn't have a God to talk to us.
One of the alleged victims had booked a flight to return to Nepal for his wedding. Already out of pocket, he's had to borrow money to be able to afford to pay for a second booking. Scion Travels claims to be one of Australia's leading travel agents but has never been accredited. ASIC, the corporate watchdog, has not received any notice of the company being under administration. The alleged scam has been reported to police. Some customers fear their money is gone as they go nowhere.
Because I have no money, no saving at this time.
Cameron Bowe, 7 News.
We've been given a sneak peek at a documentary looking behind the scenes with King Charles and Queen Camilla before the coronation. It captures the King's candid reaction to a dress rehearsal mistake.
Be amongst you and remain with you now and...
No, that can't be right. Always. You must have said this before.
I knew that.
Yes.
The 90-minute film will be released on Boxing Day. For those hoping to have Christmas cards and presents arrive in time before the big day, you have just one day to go. Tomorrow is the last chance to send gifts within Queensland and have them arrive before Christmas Day. But for those who miss the deadline, Express Post will be available until Thursday at a higher cost. And how's this for a Christmas treat? A Secret Santa's surprise for customers at an Aussie toy store, paying off lay-bys for dozens of families. That heartwarming story is just ahead on 7 News. Sport time now, and what is the story in the West, Pat?
Well, Kendall, for Aussie fans, it is outstanding. Hello, everyone. The cricket is ahead, and it has just happened for the GOAT. Nathan Lyon joins one of cricket's most exclusive clubs. Plus, it's heartbreak on the buzzer for the Bullets. It was an agonising wait in the West, but Nathan Lyon, a short time ago, has become just the third Australian to claim 500 Test wickets. In dramatic scenes, an LBW, DRS overturning the umpire's not out decision, sending the Aussies into raptures.
And hitting the wickets, Richard. So I recommend to reverse your decision from not out to out.
The old Lion rules for the 500th time in Test cricket.
He joins fellow Aussies Shane Warne and Glenn McGrath as members of the 500 club. Well, as Nathan Lyon underlined his greatness, he was another cog in this mighty Aussie Test machine after setting Pakistan an unlikely, impossibly target of 450 runs in the series opener on a deteriorating pitch. Australia's attack went to work, tearing into the tourists' top order.
Marnus Labuschagne cleared of a broken finger, the GOAT waiting to break into the 500 club. Plenty of life left in the pitch and Pakistan.
Oh, good shout. Good shout and gone.
4 overs, 2 runs, 1 furious Steve Smith. Travis Head was wasting no time, a rapid-fire 14 with the reckless abandon of a 300-plus lead.
Oh, and that's Travis Head out early.
Enter the West Zone, Mitch Marsh, sending them straight into his home stand and directly to the tourists.
Thumps it straight to mid-off, in and out of the hands of the skipper.
Playing through the pain of this knock, Usman Khawaja with one of his own.
Just wide of slip, 4 more, and Khawaja's 50.
He'd fall 10 short of a ton.
Over the top, and it's straight into the hands.
The declaration followed the visitors chasing 450 and Nathan Lyon's eyeing off history.
You're on the verge of taking 500 Test wickets. Did you believe that could ever happen?
No, God, no.
First over, first wicket. Mitchell Starc started the onslaught. Pakistan punished by Australia's paceman, 4 for 53 at tea.
That one is out! It's Bubba, the big wicket!
There were several agonising false starts to the biggest wicket as the visitors made victims of themselves.
Big trouble. Gone. Horrible running again.
Mitch Crone, 7 News.
Matt Renshaw and Olympic discus giant Matt Denny swapped notes, but it was only a brief reprieve from training in a Brisbane scorcher for the Heat's Test hopeful. Renshaw's clear of any hamstring problems, but knows the BBL's not the place to push his baggy green claims.
Some days you have to go out and try and hit 6 first ball. Some days you're 2 for 5 in the first over and need to go out and rebuild. So it's a very different game for me compared to my red ball cricket.
The table-topping Heat play the Renegades Thursday night in Melbourne. Of course, you'll see that match here on 7. A terrifying moment in the Premier League this morning. Luton and Bournemouth's clash was abandoned after a player collapsed during the match. And a warning, the following vision is distressing.
English football brought to a standstill.
It looks like a very nasty situation here.
Luton Town's captain Tom Lockyer suddenly collapsing with no one near him. The match with Bournemouth stopped, both teams only able to watch as paramedics worked, the fans giving their support. The 29-year-old responsive as he was stretchered from the pitch, quickly taken to hospital. Luton later confirming Lockyer suffered a cardiac arrest, but is in a stable condition. An all too familiar situation for the club. Lockyer also collapsed in the middle of their championship player final due to a heart condition just 7 months ago. Luton's manager Rob Edwards distraught. The match soon abandoned. James Manton, 7 News.
Wayward Bullets have slumped to back-to-back NBL losses. The Taipans hushed Brisbane fans early. Their bombing raid yielded a surprise 18-point quarter-time lead. It was 13 at half-time, and Baines, who has history against Cairns, was in foul trouble. Big Rocco was playing a lone hand for Brisbane.
Karski is having a block party all of his own.
Sobey followed as Brisbane reeled in a 20-plus deficit and almost picked their pockets. This shot to steal it was ruled just fractionally late. Cairns wins 6 straight in Brisbane. Cairns-born Jakara Anthony's in the form of her life. The Olympic gold medalist made it 4 wins from 5 World Cup events to start her season, taking out the dual moguls at Alpe d'Huez. Belle Brockhoff won snowboard cross silver in Italy, ahead of fellow Aussie Josie Baff in third. Adam Lambert won silver in the men's, while Bree Walker took monobob silver in Austria. But the best prize definitely went to Switzerland's Yasmin Fleury. The downhill skier was awarded a cow for her World Cup win in France. A precocious Kiwi, 12 years, Ali Days Jr., is suddenly a serious challenger to the Master Ironman after winning today's round 2 of the Nutrigrain Series in ideal conditions at Manly and Sydney. The 21-year-old, who's now with Northcliffe, repelled Days' ski leg challenge.
Joe Collins is the ultimate survivor, runs around and salutes the crowd there.
Collins and Day now share the series lead. It was a perfect outing for the all-powerful Northcliffe club. Georgia Miller, 24 hours after a disappointing 9th, surged in round 2, edging yesterday's winner and teammate Lana Rogers. Well, a little bit of cricketing history today.
Absolutely, a very big
It was great,
day.
wasn't it?
It was fantastic. Thank you, Paddy. A stranger has made this Christmas one to remember for customers of a Melbourne toy store. A young woman came in as the store was closing and paid off the lay-bys of dozens of families.
Sundays at work don't get much better than this.
Your lay-by has been completely paid off.
Oh my, are you kidding me?
Store manager Nicole is telling customers $8,500 of their lay-bys were paid by a stranger.
Oh, really?
Yep, completely paid off.
Oh, that's amazing.
A random act of kindness 1 week from Christmas, good karma of the highest order.
Thought that she might give us a couple of $100, and when she said the whole lot, I was speechless and had a bit of a cry, and it was just amazing.
There is really some special people in this world, isn't there?
It sure is.
All up, 47 lay-bys were taken care of, but this kind stranger wasn't the only one.
Yesterday morning we actually had a young guy in his 20s come in and donate $600, and we had a great-grandma on Friday give us $250.
Toy World has been popular with Secret Santas. One in Bunbury, WA, paid off more than 12 grand of lay-bys. And at a Kmart in Melbourne, a similar story last month.
I think that is just amazing.
Oh my goodness, I can't think. Is there someone I can thank?
She wants to remain anonymous, but I will pass on your thanks to her.
Making a tough year for some end on a high. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
These days you can have weather advice in the palm of your hand. But in the past, people had almost no warning disaster was on the way. That's next in Flashback.
We'll give you all the details of what's happening in the weather after the break, including all the latest storm activity.
All in vain. The intravenous health and beauty treatments now sweeping Australia. In and out in just 60 minutes.
Promote good general health and cognitive functioning.
As the menu of treatments grows, just how effective are they?
Adverse effects from getting IV drips unnecessarily.
The benefits and the concerns on 7 News, Monday.
As we saw in the last week with storms and cyclones, modern technology means we have up-to-date information on what's to come. In the past, though, Queenslanders had little warning that Mother Nature was about to unleash her fury. Sharon Gadella reports.
I was cooking tea and all of a sudden the lights went off and
we're racing to the bathroom.
When the Brisbane tornado hit in 1973, people had virtually no warning. Just months later, the city knew rain was coming, but no one foresaw the scale of the 74 floods. It meant civil defence volunteers could only really react to disasters. Since the end of World War II, forecasting had largely relied on radar. Fred Suter was the first person to track a cyclone.
But to see it actually displayed on the screen, so close to us, with the centre about 50 miles to the east of us, overawing at the time.
Satellites expanded forecasters' range in the 60s, while computers meant they could better crunch the numbers in the 70s. The problem, getting vital information to people in real time.
In decades gone past, the most likely area to get your warnings would be the newspaper. Of course, that was very slow. The quickest way would be on radio, but even then, broadcasters and forecasters would be struggling to get up-to-date information.
One solution, the Brisbane Weather Beacon, installed atop the MLC building in 1976. Its red and white lights flashing weather warnings across the city. It was switched off in 2007.
There's 288 lights on this weather beacon, and that produces around 190 tonnes of harmful greenhouse gases every year. When they turn it off, it's the same as taking 60 cars off the road or planting 1,200 trees.
One information source many may be familiar with is the Bureau of Meteorology's website. Its Doppler radar near Beenleigh gave forecasters a range of 500 kilometres.
We'll be able to get an early indication of how severe a storm might be, and if a warning is necessary, that warning will go out a little bit earlier than it would at the moment.
Emergency warnings are now as close as your phone. Authorities can send texts direct to people in harm's way. If you see a message from a number made up almost entirely of fours, it's not a hoax or a scam. It's information that could save your life. Well, weather time now. Here's Paul Burt.
Thanks for that, Kendall. Good evening to everybody. Gee, it looks very ominous here at Kangaroo Point tonight. A lot of activity staying further to the west, though, so just pretty pictures, beautiful sky in the backdrop. Let's take a look at today's temperatures, everyone. We're climbed to highs of around 31 to 32 degrees coastal, 34 in the city, 36 for Ipswich and Greenbank, and 22 to 23 overnight. Now, the satellite shows a low depression over the tropics from XTC Jasper. That has brought more than 400 millimetres to areas around Cairns and Innisfail in the past 24 hours. And that system will hang tonight into tomorrow, gradually easing back, heading off to the north Tuesday. Now, an inland trough is approaching the southern states. It'll bring some showers and storms over the coming days to us, most likely on Thursday. Capitals, showers set for Sydney, Canberra and Melbourne. Heavier Hobart, Adelaide. Highs of 30 degrees for Victoria's Cap. Back to the tropics now. Showers and periods of rain set for Cairns again. They could be in for up to 110 millimetres, unfortunately. We will be seeing that ease back later tomorrow into the evening. Less around Innisfail, up to 50 millimetres, but as that system tracks to the north towards Cooktown, they could be up to 140 millimetres. Lots of water on the ground and in the rivers, everyone. Further south now, showers set for Rocky. Heavy at times Gladstone, south of Hervey Bay, 24 to 31. Storms likely for Toowoomba and Stanthorpe, top of 31 there. Clear in the west, 23 to 38, Longreach and Roma. In the southeast, possible shower, Gold Coast, Bayside and Redcliffe, 24 to 30 degrees, 23 to 31 for the sunny coast. Storms likely in the west are around Beaudesert and Ipswich. They could be getting around 23 to 33 degrees. Take a look around the suburbs. Potential storm activity for Springfield. If it does come through there, we know they can be nasty, and also Oxley, 23 to 33. Shower possible on the coast with those storms tail edge on, 24 to 30 for Sandgate. On the water, north-northeasterly winds 15 knots, seas 1 metre in the city, 24 to 32. Again, possible shower from those storms. Looking ahead, slight chance of a shower on Tuesday, 23 to 31. Showers ramping up Wednesday, 22 to 31, becoming heavier on Thursday. Let's take a look at Ipswich now. Dry Tuesday, 22 to 33. Late shower brewing Wednesday, 20 to 33. More so on Thursday, though. That's that inland trough moving in across the eastern seaboard, 21 to 33. Gold Coast, dry Tuesday, 23 to 30. Late shower Wednesday, increasing Thursday, 21 to 27. Looks as though we might have a wet Christmas. Similar for the Sunshine Coast, with showers coming through on Thursday, 21 to 29. And tonight, Kendall, of course, thoughts with the local storm-affected areas and for our friends in the far north as the floods take hold.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bertie. And that is all from us this Sunday. Thanks so much for your company. We will have updates throughout the evening. I'm Kendall Gilding from all the team. We hope you have a great night.